Welcome to Mind Shield. We protect the mind and pursue the truth. Let's get started.
All right, welcome. This is your first briefing. We're about to open an investigation into something, well, it's incredibly complex. We're talking about reports of electronic harassment. Now, this is a topic that's controversial, it's confusing, and for the people involved, it's deeply personal. So our mission here is to build a rock-solid framework for a calm, evidence-first investigation. This is Mind Shield. You know, it's funny. Sometimes the strangest claims, the ones you'd normally just brush off, they pop up in the most official places you can imagine. We're talking tucked away in public records, buried deep in court filings, and when you find one, it's like a clear signal in all the static, and it just forces you to stop and look a little closer. And this is the signal that got our attention. It's a direct quote, word for word, from an unsealed document connected to the Jeffrey Epstein case. Now, hold on. What's absolutely crucial here isn't whether this claim is true or not. That's not the point. Not yet. The point is that the allegation itself exists, on paper, in an official channel. And that fact alone makes it a data point we simply can't ignore. Okay, let me jump in here because this is important. We have to be crystal clear about this right up front. What you just saw is an allegation. It is not proof. Our approach here has to be, well, almost clinical. It's forensic. It's evidence first. We are not here to believe or disbelieve anything. We're here to investigate claims with discipline. That calm, measured perspective, that's the bedrock for everything we're about to do.
So that really puts us at a crossroads, doesn't it? You've got two paths you can go down, and both of them are dead ends. On one side, you have blind belief, just accepting everything you hear without a shred of evidence. That road leads straight to paranoia. On the other side, you've got blind dismissal, rejecting every claim out of hand without even looking into it. And that, well, that could mean ignoring real harm. Our job, our entire mission, is to carve out that third path, the rational, investigative one, right down the middle. And that brings us to the core mission itself. I mean, to navigate a territory this complicated, you can't just wing it. You need a framework. You need a set of principles that guides every single thing you do. That's the foundation of Mind Shield. First things first, we need to get our language right. The words people use in this space, they can be really loaded, you know? So we're going to use a very precise, very neutral umbrella term, Covert Neuro-Sensory Intrusion, or CNSI for short. What this does is it lets us talk about the alleged effects, what someone is experiencing, without jumping to any conclusions about what's causing it. It's all about keeping the investigation credible and steering clear of sensationalism. And that framework comes with a very strict code of conduct. These aren't suggestions, they are our non-negotiables. First up, safety. The top priority always is physical safety and de-escalation. Second, credibility. Every note we take, every action has to be held to a courtroom-grade standard. Third, and this is a big one, ethics. No harm, no doxing, no retaliation. This is about protection and lawful process, period. It's not vigilantism. And finally, evidence. We have to be absolutely ruthless about separating what we actually observe from what we think it means. Okay, so to really get a handle on just how hard this kind of investigation is, we need to talk about the environment we're operating in. Let's introduce a key idea, a metaphor we're going to use a lot. We call it the signal sea. I mean, just stop for a second and think about the sheer amount of electronic energy that is zipping through you right now in any modern city. It's a total cacophony. You've got 4G, 5G cellular networks, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth everywhere, TV and radio broadcasts, public safety comms, GPS and internet from satellites, even the radar in cars. It's a completely invisible, chaotic storm of data and energy all around us. And that's what we mean by the signal sea. It's this dense, overlapping, just chaotic soup of radio frequency energy. And this perfectly explains the central challenge. Think about it. For a potential attacker, all that background noise is the perfect cover. It's plausible deniability built right in. But for us, for an investigator, it makes trying to pick out one specific targeted beam from all that background static, well, it's next to impossible, unless you are incredibly careful and systematic with your measurements. So that's the big question, right? Let's say, for the sake of argument, that an anomalous signal does exist. How in the world could you possibly find it in all of this noise? How could you ever prove that what you're detecting isn't just, I don't know, your neighbor's new souped-up Wi-Fi router? That is the fundamental problem we have to figure out how to solve. All right, to even begin to answer that, we need some context. So we're going to pivot away from the noisy present for a minute and look at the historical record. And let's be clear, we're not looking for proof that this stuff is happening now. We're looking for proof of possibility. What has the technology already been proven to do on the record in the past? And when you dig into the declassified history, it is fascinating. Back in 1961, a scientist named Alan Frey published a report on what's called the microwave auditory effect. He showed that humans can literally hear pulsed RF energy. No speakers, no headphones. Fast forward to the 60s and 70s, you have the whole Moscow signal incident at the US Embassy, which kicked off Project PANDORA to study the bioeffects of microwaves. And then, get this, in 1973, a Dr. Joseph Sharp at Walter Reed successfully transmitted spoken words, actual words, using pulsed microwaves. This isn't science fiction. These are the building blocks, and they're part of documented scientific history. Okay, but let's pump the brakes and ground ourselves again. This is our core mantra, and you're going to hear it a lot. Capability does not equal proof of use. Just because something is possible doesn't mean it's being used on someone right here, right now. But what that historical capability does tell us is what might be worth looking for. It tells us what's worth measuring. Okay, so we have this historical context. We know certain things are technically possible. So let's shift gears now into pure investigative logic. If someone were trying to do this, how could they possibly hide in plain sight? How could they operate without being seen? We think they'd use what we call the 4 veils of invisibility. First, masking, hiding their signal right inside that chaotic signal sea we talked about. Second, dual-use camouflage, using equipment that looks totally normal, a satellite dish on a roof, a van with some antennas, nothing you look at twice. Third, plausible deniability, making sure every weird event, every glitch can be easily dismissed as just that, a glitch. But the fourth one, this is the most insidious. Credibility collapse. The ultimate goal isn't always physical harm. It's often to make the target appear so unstable and untrustworthy that no one will believe them. So, you see, the weapon isn't always some ray gun or a specific frequency. Often, the primary weapon is just uncertainty. The real goal is to shatter someone's reality, to make them doubt their own mind, and to cut them off from anyone who might help. So, that brings us to the most important part, the actionable stuff. How do you fight back against a weapon like uncertainty? Well, you don't fight it with more uncertainty. You fight it with data. You build a case file. You start climbing what we call the evidence ladder to go from something invisible to something that can actually be audited. Here it is, a 5-step workflow for a civilian investigation. Step 1, stabilize. You create predictable routines so you have a solid personal baseline. What's normal for you? Step 2, log. You keep a meticulous, time-stamped log of everything, symptoms, locations, events. Step 3, measure. You use real scientific instruments to get an environmental baseline. What's normal for your space? Step 4, correlate. This is where you put it together. You look for patterns connecting your log to your measurements. And finally, step 5, package. You organize all that data into a clean, concise case file that someone else can look at and understand. And I have to jump in here and stress this. That log, an organized, dispassionate log, is the single most powerful tool you have. Period. Time, date, location, what you felt, what was going on around you, it's the foundation for everything else. Without a good log, all those measurements you take are just a bunch of meaningless, random numbers. And once you have that log and you have your measurements, you start playing detective. You hunt for patterns. Does this only happen when that specific white van is parked down the street? Does it only happen when a certain device in your house is turned on? Could it even correlate with a satellite pass overhead? This is how you start to turn a subjective feeling into an objective, testable idea. And that right there, that's the whole point of this entire process. It's the transformation we're aiming for. The goal of all this disciplined work is simple: to turn something that feels invisible into something that is auditable. Which brings us to our closing vow. This is the core philosophy of MindShield. Measure first, document cleanly, protect safety, and follow the evidence wherever it goes. And that includes if it leads to the conclusion that your theory is not supported. Because the truth, whatever it ends up being, doesn't fear audits. So where do we go from here? What if you suspect you're in this kind of situation right now?
What are the very first, most critical steps you need to take in the first 72 hours? Well, next time, we're going to break down the CALM protocol. You won't want to miss it.